Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWES. College football week 2 got probably the biggest game on the board here. Texas, Michigan in the big house. Let's go.
Welcome to the SWES. The SWES. SWES. Hey, get the SWES.
All right, like I said, Texas is on the road in Michigan for this one. This number is now Michigan plus 7.5. Back in June, this was 3.5. So this line has been on the move. Certainly some reaction from week 1 filtered in there. It's now Michigan plus 7.5. Total sitting at 43.5 pretty much across the board. So let's get into this one, and we'll start by taking a look at how these teams looked last week. Obviously, Texas looked much more impressive than Michigan did. Texas absolutely routed Colorado State. 52-0 was the final score. 545 total yards of offense. Michigan obviously got the comfortable win, but way less impressive. 30-10 final score. In fact, in the fourth quarter was actually a close game. Just 269 total yards in the game against Fresno State. And as far as level of competition, it's pretty even. I mean, both played solid Mountain West programs. Colorado State should be, or was projected to be, pretty good this year. Same goes for Fresno State. Fresno State's defense is probably a little bit underrated. So, I mean, I'm not overreacting either way here, but certainly Texas looked more impressive in week 1. Let's start by taking a look at the Michigan offense, and we already know what it is. We know what we're going to see here. It's a new coaching staff, but we all expect to see the same sort of Michigan offense. Run the football. Control the clock. 17th in run frequency last year, 124th in pace. As we know, they were dealing with one of the most elite offensive lines in football last year. 10th in run blocking grade, 24th in stuff rate, 46th in power success rate. Problem is, that's not the offensive line they have there now. All 5 starters from the 2023 team are gone. And we saw it a little bit in their week 1 game against Fresno State, a home game in the big house against Fresno State. Just 148 yards rushing, 4.3 yards per carry, not a single rushing touchdown. Definitely not what you wanted to see, but it's week 1 with a brand new unit. Obviously, we know offensive lines, especially new ones, tend to get better as the year goes along. But they're going to have their hands full. They're up against Texas, and that defensive front was as good as anyone in football last year. Maybe the best run defense in the country. Look at their run defense metrics on the left side of this graphic here. 5th in defensive line yards, 9th in stuff rate, 3rd in power success rate. Here are their defensive game logs. Look at the yards per carry allowed here in the middle column. I mean, 1, 2, 3 times all season, a team was able to average 4 yards a carry or more on this Texas defense. But just like the Michigan offensive line, I mean, they took some hits. They lost their 2 NFL defensive tackles, Sweat and Murphy, both got drafted. Also, their linebacker, who I believe was their leading tackler, Ford, he got drafted as well. So you could argue their 3 best pieces as far as defending the run, gone to the NFL. And you know what? Colorado State was running the football a little bit on Texas. I mean, 118 yards rushing, 3.6 yards per carry. That isn't shit. But Colorado State has no rushing attack. That's a passing offense. And their longest run of the game was 11 or 12 yards. So they were able to get some sort of push on the offensive line, some sort of rushing attack going. I mean, this is on the road at Michigan. This isn't home against Colorado State. It's a different story. We know Michigan's going to be able to run the ball. We know that offensive line's going to look a little bit better than it did last week. Now, as far as the quarterback situation at Michigan, Davis Warren wins the starting job. I mean, didn't look that impressive in his first start. 15 of 25, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 104.8 passer rating. Definitely a little concerning, although I will say, like I mentioned before, Fresno State's defense is going to be improved this year. That might be a pretty good defense, to be honest. So not jumping to any crazy conclusions, but they're not Texas, that's for sure. Look what this Texas defense just did to Fowler Nicolosi, who, by the way, is supposed to be one of the better, if not the best quarterback in the Mountain West this year. 10 of 18, 59 yards and a pick, 19.1 QBR. I mean, we saw this kid last year. He can throw the ball. This is an impressive defensive performance to hold him to 59 yards passing. Yeah. So although I do expect Davis Warren to improve as the year goes on, just like I expect the Michigan offensive line to improve, this week against Texas and the Texas defense, I talked about how their main run stoppers are gone. They still have their edge rushers. So that pass rush is still going to be a problem. I'm definitely worried about the quarterback situation. I'm not sure if we can count on Michigan to make plays in the passing game in this one. But as I mentioned, I think Michigan's going to be able to run the football a little bit in this one. Texas run defense should take a step backwards, and the Michigan run game should take a step forwards to where it was last week now that the offensive line has a game under their belt. But anyway, on the other side, we got the Texas offense, and it was a track meet. It was impressive. 545 total yards of offense, 355 passing, 190 rushing, 7 total touchdowns from the Texas offense. Quinn Ewers looked like picking up right where he left off last year. 184 passer rating in the game. Obviously, it's Colorado State. Take it or leave it, but no question it was impressive. Now, I know some people might be concerned that this game's in the big house, but Texas was one of the best road offenses in college football last year. In fact, they were better on the road, top 25 in pretty much all offensive metrics on the road last year. So I wouldn't be too worried about them playing on the road. And to be honest, that dangerous Michigan pass rush that we saw win the national championship last year, it's not as much of a concern this year. First of all, Texas offensive line is perfectly equipped to handle an elite pass rush. They're actually one of the best pass-protecting offensive lines in college football last year, and they brought back 4 starters. 4 starters from their offensive line last year are back this year, so this should be one of the best pass protections in college football. We saw it last week. Now, it's Colorado State. They don't have much of a pass rush, but of all those dropbacks we saw from Quinn Ewers, want to know how many times he was pressured all game? Twice. 2 pressures the entire game, so no question we're dealing with one of the better pass protecting offensive lines in college football here. Now, we can pull up Michigan's defensive line metrics from last season, and they're elite, no question. This defensive line was ranked in the top 5, both against the run and in rushing the passer, so no question, one of the best defensive lines in college football last year. But just like their offensive line, they're all gone. 6 of the 7 starters from the Michigan defensive front are gone this year. So I don't expect the pass rush to be quite the same. And even if it was, Texas might be the team with that elite pass protection to actually neutralize it. So Texas should be able to keep Quinn Ewers safe in this one. And look what happens when you keep Quinn Ewers safe. Look at his numbers when given a clean pocket last year. I mean, pretty impressive looking. One of the best quarterbacks in college football, especially when you give him a clean pocket. So even though I don't have a ton of faith in teams going on the road and scoring points in the big house, on paper, Texas should be able to do it. But here comes the hardest part of placing a bet here. Michigan hasn't lost a game at home in forever. They're 23-0 in their last 23 home games. And we're not just talking about Michigan potentially losing a game. We're talking about laying more than a touchdown to them. I mean, what are we supposed to do here? On paper, Texas is definitely more than 7 points better than Michigan, even on the road. So on paper, they should win this game by more than a touchdown, but football games aren't played on paper, and we're talking about the defending national champions who haven't lost a game at home since 2021 or since 2020. So I'm not laying 7.5. I would only lean towards Michigan. I'm not going to bet it. If I had to place a bet in this game, I would take the over at 43.5. That's a super low number. Like I said, I think Michigan's going to be able to run the ball a little bit on Texas, and Texas offense on paper should be able to score most trips on this Michigan defense, even on the road. We saw them do it to Alabama's defense on the road last year, earlier in the season. So I would go over 43. Oh, there's a 43 open. So I'll take that over 43. Definitely not even close to one of my favorite bets of the week. Not a ton of betting value that I'm seeing on this game, especially at this number. But yeah, give me the over at 43. If you want to see all the bets I have open or the bets that anyone on the staff here has open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on open bets. Also, when you sign up for Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league. $150 and a trophy go to the winner every single week. If you're interested, head over to the website and sign up. Live shows 4 p.m. Eastern time every weekday, 10 a.m. Eastern time on weekends. If you're able to make it, we'd love to see you in the comments. Let's have ourselves a nice college football week 2. Rough week 1, but I ended it with a win. I got the under in the Florida State-Boston College game, which was nice to go out in the green. But let's have ourselves a nice week 2. Remember to bet responsibly. Talk in the Discord.